Over the last couple of weeks, we've been bombarded with non-stop news about Trump's confrontation with Iran. When you put two stubborn strongmen in the same geopolitical boxing ring, Donald Trump and Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the outcome is rarely diplomacy and usually destruction. And sadly, as always, it's not the leaders who pay the price. It's ordinary people, homes destroyed, infrastructure flattened, lives lost, entire neighborhoods turned into rubble. And rebuilding that damage, that will cost billions of dollars. Of course, billions have already been spent, not on schools, hospitals, or roads, but on missiles, fighter jets, and military hardware. Because nothing says defending freedom quite like a few $100 million worth of explosives flying across borders. Now, for someone like me who has visited Dubai regularly and has some amazing memories there, watching the news can sometimes feel surreal. The headlines often paint the entire region as if it's permanently 5 minutes away from a scene in Mad Max. You know the formula: Middle East tension, regional instability, conflict spreading, and suddenly people imagine Dubai as some sort of post-apocalyptic desert battlefield with luxury hotels, the dangerous desert versus the safe big smoke. Ah yes, the modern era. We sit comfortably in our homes, glued to 24-hour news cycles, clutching our pearls at every dramatic headline from the Middle East. Someone hears Dubai and conflict in the same sentence and instantly imagines chaos. Meanwhile, the world patiently waits for the supposed instability of Dubai to erupt. But while we're waiting for that apocalypse, let's take a quick look at the actual war zone. London. Yes, the proud capital of the United Kingdom, the shining beacon of Western civilization. The numbers don't quite match the narrative. Let's look at some numbers from the UK in a typical year. 500+ homicides, over 1 million violent incidents, 50,000+ knife crimes. Now, that's not just a crime problem. That's practically a national hobby. In Dubai, people worry about parking fines or maybe a sandstorm. In London, apparently, people are carrying enough knives to open a small cutlery shop. In Dubai, the most dangerous thing you'll probably encounter is an overenthusiastic valet parking attendant. In parts of London, people are checking over their shoulder because someone might want their watch. The reality check. And this is where the irony becomes almost comical. We are constantly told to be concerned about safety in the Middle East. Yet millions happily walk through cities in the West where violent crime statistics look like the casualty report from a small skirmish. Dubai isn't just safe, it's consistently ranked among the safest cities in the world. You can walk through a shopping mall at midnight and feel safer than you would waiting for a late-night bus in parts of South London. But the headlines rarely say that, because Dubai is calm and orderly tonight doesn't generate clicks. But then there's the bigger question, and that brings us to the uncomfortable question. Why are we even here? Why is there yet another conflict? Is it about security? Is it about nuclear threats? Or is it something far older and far more predictable? Oil, power, influence. Before the bombs started falling, negotiations between Iran and the United States were reportedly making progress in Oman. Diplomacy was happening, talking, negotiating, trying to avoid another disaster. And then suddenly, bombs. Because nothing ruins a good negotiation quite like a few cruise missiles. The hegemony question. The United States often presents itself as the global defender of democracy, the self-appointed referee of the international system. But here's a question nobody seems to ask loudly enough. Why does the US maintain hundreds of military bases across the world, from Europe to Asia to the Middle East? Is it purely about security? Or is it about maintaining global hegemony? Because when one country has the ability to project military power anywhere on Earth within hours, that's not just defense, that's dominance. The final thought, the strange contradiction of our world. We're told to fear cities like Dubai, yet statistically they are among the safest places you can walk at night. Meanwhile, cities that proudly call themselves the pillars of civilization struggle with violence on their own streets. And wars, they continue. Always justified, always explained, always expensive, but rarely paid for by the people who start them. If there's one thing we should question more often, it's not just the conflicts themselves, but the narratives that surround them, because sometimes the dangerous desert turns out to be safer than the so-called safe city. And sometimes the biggest threat isn't where the media tells us to look. So guys, what do you think about all this? Are any of you watching from the Middle East? I'd genuinely love to hear about your experiences. And if there are any British expats out there, especially those living in places like Dubai, please share your thoughts in the comments. It would be great for everyone watching to hear some real first-hand perspectives, rather than just what we see on the news. If you found this discussion interesting, please do like, comment, and share the video. It really helps the channel and keeps the conversation going. And above all, let us pray for peace in our world. Not just the absence of war, but real peace, real happiness, and real joy for ordinary people everywhere. Blessings, Jay Lakhani.